Please join me in welcoming our guest filmmakers to the front of the auditorium. Come on down, filmmakers.
Thank you.
Once they're all down here, I will ask them all to take turns introducing themselves, what their role was on the film, and what their film was. And you can go ahead and start, and everybody else will join us.
My name is Colton Eschief Mastro. I wrote, directed, and starred in Delivery.
I'm Jessie Gill, and I was in Delivery.
Hi, I'm Abhichoke, and I directed OST.
I'm Jonathan. I wrote and directed This Feels Right.
And I'm Karis, and I produced and was in This Feels Right.
I'm Greg Brostrom, and I was just in This Feels Right.
And that really feels right to me.
All right, I'm going to open it up to you in a minute, but before, I would like to give everybody an opportunity to tell us what was the inspiration for your film or how you came to be involved in the making of the film.
Yeah, I was Postmate delivery driving when I was in college, and I started killing people. I've had this realization that people just gave out a lot of personal information, and I was a huge fan of Ron Howard, who he always talks about how make movies that play on like real life stuff. So I guess it just clicked, and then making it something that was like more of a rom-com. I love the idea of bending genres together, so it's just kind of nice little twist, and yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Colton was my Postmate.
All right, so for me, it's actually based on a true experience of mine, and if anyone want to hear about it, we can go over it over some drinks later. but yeah, it was based on a supernatural experience of my own, and I combined that with my time trying to get into the industry here. I'm originally from Thailand, so it was a really stressful time. So it just kind of like all came together into this film. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess the inspiration was what's a short that's cheap, involves just a couple of actors who are friends of mine, that can fit in just like one location during the middle of a pandemic and be safe. And but seriously, I was really inspired by that thing in relationships where whether it's a romantic relationship or friendship, any kind of family. When you see something in someone else that you're like, okay, can they not see how they're screwing up? But you can say whatever you want. It may not change their mind. It may not be heard. And so I just felt like we can all relate to that. Felt like I could. Felt like I've been that person who couldn't change for the better. And so yeah, just wrote it one winter and shot it in one night. And these two helped make it happen.
Questions out here. Don't be shy. Let's ask some questions. I can always ask more, but I'd rather hear from you. No? All right, let's go with my new favorite question. You always end up leaving stuff on the floor because you're making a short. You got to shrink it down. You want to get into festivals, but invariably there's something you left that you really loved, and you're sad you gave it up. So what's the one thing, if you could tell the audience, here's something I didn't get to include, but I really liked it?
Our last scene on the roof, so we shot that in Skid Row, which if you don't know LA, it's not a fun place to be, but we scouted that whole location, very secure, but that roof shot, that's the LA skyline. We had a lot more dialogue that kind of explained a little bit about more how he set her up and how she set him up. But we just had to cut it for time purposes. I would love to have left that because it was good acting on Jessie's part, and then just looked so pretty, I thought, with that skyline. So that was one we left.
We had more dog footage as well. We had 3 dogs in the film, and they were all wonderful actors. But I'm glad we got as much as we did.
I agree with her on that. Yeah.
For me, it's we actually have more of the film within the film. Like we have that planned for more, but we ran out of time. So if anyone wants to see some more, I'm open to if anyone want to give me a chance to make it a feature. Just joking, maybe.
He's not joking. A little trivia about the short. The fellow that's getting hit by the vehicle is my brother. And so I have to admit, we ran over him a lot more than 7 times. A lot more. But I didn't really want to work that out on screen, so we kept it, short and sweet.
Gotcha.
He is still alive, though, right?
He is with us, thank God.
Not in a time loop.
No. He'll live.
Yes.
I have a question about the music, because we are in this great theater space with great speakers and we're hearing every sound. Music was prevalent in all of your films. How did that come together in a short? Because there's so much focus on the narrative, and the music just was awesome in every one of yours. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I appreciate that. The guy who co-directed with me, Eric Jackwitz, he actually went to Berkeley, and there's a big part of that. Every shot we were shooting was like, how will this be sounding? Something we were actively thinking about as we were going through it. And we funded it all ourselves. So the song that we use, that's public domain. We just searched for public domain as much as we could. Got lucky, and I feel like fit us really well, that too. So everything's original score besides that, though. So definitely each shot we're thinking about how that affects, everything, how it looks too.
And my film was created from the ground up as a love letter to horror film scores. So basically, how we did it was that we shot the film within the film first, and then I went to a Thai composer that I know, because I want someone that knows the sound that comes with the region, and then he scored that, and then we took all of that and then shoot it all again. So it's a bit of a complicated process, but it really made me really appreciate film scores like much more. Yeah.
I was actually really resistant to having a song on the radio because of Groundhog Day, a former time loop film that has a famous song looping every time. So I really resisted it, but I was like, you can't top Frankie Blue Eyes. I like that song. If you're gonna have something, let's do Sinatra. Let's just go there. I felt like it really ended in a sweet way with a little bit of tension in there, but it worked for the film.
There usually is something that went wrong. Castle, what complicated the process?
What challenge did you have to overcome? What problems came up in the making of your film?
Yeah, I try to block those all out, It's like PTSD at this point. No, I mean, we shot it all in 5 days in LA. It was ours, I would have to say, was permits. We did get all the permits, but there's so many little things that we missed out and didn't, so we had to navigate that mid-shooting days of, talking guys into letting us shoot stuff that we maybe shouldn't have been shooting, But we did have everything set up. But that was definitely something a little bit more of a difficult hurdle, getting all the permits and whatnot.
We had some COVID officers, which I'm sure everyone is potentially familiar with. COVID officers, they babysit you, but it makes sense because COVID, horrible. But we had they send some strangers and you've never met them before, and then they're with you for your whole day on set. And we already have such a reduced crew that you get a stranger who's protecting you from COVID, but is actually just touching everything at Crafty.
Yes.
And drink it. Yeah, it's a very strange double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Oh, the Welch's pockets, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and for me, it's also COVID because this was my thesis film at USC, and it was supposed to be another film set in the States entirely until COVID hit, and I was like, and they told me that you need to get something done or you're not going to graduate. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to cut loose and just go back, and just create everything from scratch. And so this was from scratch in 5 months, and just knocked it out of the park. And that was a huge change for me. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I wrote the script over the course of a few months, filmed it in one night, and then spent 9 months fixing my mistakes. So the opposite of your experience.
I should say too, we really did do the whole thing with 4 people, including the actors, and he shot it and ran sound and gaffed it alone. I mean, we would help, but like we were on.
Don't do it. It's horrible.
And I will say then the sound was like, because we only worked with stuff we already owned, and we only owned 2 lapel mics. So, and because I was doing the thing with the sweater, we put the we actually learned this from a sound guy that was brilliant that we hired for another film, but we put the lapel mics above the what are these things called? Thank you. Yep, those things. And so it didn't. Sometimes I didn't pick it up, and so there was a lot of post fixing. Oh, and he also taught himself how to do that blood because we didn't do the blood in real life. He did that with special effects later. Yeah. He just is like watching a lot of YouTube videos, like how do you?
So if you want to spend 9 months on 9 minutes, just dive in. That's what you do. So.
Yes, sir.